Where is the Red Paladin?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Life starts to mirror Gryphons and Gargoyles as Archie plans his escape. Let's break down Season 3, Episode 5 of Riverdale and find out just what happened. Rise and shine on, you lovely people. Lisa here for your weekly dose of Riverdale. Now, as we saw at the end of the last episode, Jughead is really falling down this rabbit hole and getting obsessed with Gryphons and Gargoyles, and it's kind of frightening, not just to us, but also to Betty. And this episode seems to find that the quest that he has conjured up mirrors what is going on with Archie as Archie plans his escape from prison. And you know what? This episode has one of my favorite things so far this season, I think. Like, the chase scene in this episode is actually really good. It was a good, heart-pounding thing, and I feel like we haven't had that kind of on-your-edge action from Riverdale in a while. So that was pretty cool to see. Now, before breaking down the episode, I also just want to say Betty was a badass in this episode, not only rocking her serpent jacket, but using her mechanic skills to mess up the warden's car and then racing through the woods like a pro on Jughead's bike. I really like Serpent Betty, and I kind of want to see her put her ponytail down a little bit more and rock that serpent jacket. But let's move on to the episode. So over in Juvie, Archie and Joaquin have planned an escape that is foiled by the guards as they start shooting them with rubber bullets. And I just got to give it to Archie for, being a stand-up guy in this situation and going back for Joaquin when Joaquin slipped, and also covering Joaquin to keep him protected from those rubber bullets. And just seeing that happen makes what Joaquin does later in this episode sting a little bit more, and it's like, damn you, Joaquin, I was rooting for you. Now, after this failed escape attempt, you can bet your bottom dollar that Hiram has heard about it and tries to use it to get under Veronica's skin. But she informs Daddy Dearest that she's going to break Archie out from prison somehow, and that Hiram will be the one rotting in that very prison he built. So of course, this prompts Hiram to give a call to his pal, the Warden, which pretty much sets in motion the timer for Archie's end. Now, Veronica is determined to break Archie out, so she turns to fellow crime kid Elio for some advice, and he brings her to Archie's fight. Now, I'm just curious what Veronica is going to owe Elio now for this vital information, because the I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine usually does not end up going a good way in the mob life, right? Like, you gotta do something pretty shady in return. At least that's what I gathered from watching too many movies and TV shows. Anyway, since Veronica can't seem to get any real alone time with Archie at the prison because, she's been banned and, she has to meet him in the little area, you can bet she heads to that locker room after Archie's fight for their own special conjugal visit. And this scene, I'm sorry guys, Riverdale, I love you and I hate you at the same time, but this scene was just full out cringy, so I apologize, Archie shippers, if you love this one. It's just like all these two really do is have sex. Plus you mix this scene in with the cheesy music and dialogue that they wrote for it or put in it, and I don't know, this scene I just wish we could have deleted that part. But after the locker room sexy time, Veronica tells Archie that they need to do this prison break, and he tells her about the drain in the pool where they fight, so that kind of sets their plan in motion, and Veronica goes and gathers the rest of the gang together, well, most of the gang, to pull off this great escape. And now we just gotta pause all of this escape plans to head over to Game Master Jughead's demented little world. So, in the bunker, Jughead is playing Gryphons and Gargoyles with Cheryl, Tony, Sweet Pea, and Fangs when Betty arrives, which we saw in the last episode, and Betty fills in Jughead on what she learned from Alice. Now, while Betty thinks that one of the 9 parents is a suspect and tries to tell Jughead that they really need to look into this because one of their parents could be a murderer, this part actually kind of made me laugh because, well, Betty could possibly then have 2 murderer parents, even though I highly doubt it's going to be Alice, but, if that were to happen, Betty really drew the short straw on the parents, man. This girl needs a break. But while Betty is thinking that the suspect has to be one of the 9 parents, Jughead explains to her about this game.
Eldervale, the realm of Gryphons and Gargoyles, is an anagram for Riverdale. The whole game is an analog for Riverdale. The game only exists in Riverdale.
So everything is connected, and that the more he plays, he sees the patterns, and if he can get to that high up level and meet the Gargoyle King face to face, then he can probably stop the Gargoyle King. But it just seems like Jughead is just more obsessed with this game and getting to the level more so than actually finding out the purpose and taking down the Gargoyle King, and it's kind of freaking me out, it's freaking Betty out, and she's just like, you know what, I'm gonna back away from this situation right now. And she's like, Jughead, you do what you gotta do, but she's gonna go look into the shady parents' past. So then Betty goes in to fill in Reggie, Josie, and Kevin in hopes that maybe they can go to their parents and get some intel, because there's still some obvious plot holes missing from Alice's story, or different sides of the story. Well, the trio go to ask their parents, and well, Reggie just comes back with a black eye from his dad, and Josie and Kevin just return with the news that their parents are engaged. Yeah, it's kind of like some happy news in a way, buried really deep in this episode that I feel like we're gonna kind of forget about for a while. Now, as the episode goes on, we see what Alice warned about, how the game really gets people obsessed, because we see it's having that effect on Sweet Pea and Fangs, and they're ready to bring the game into the real world, you know, do the LARPing, do the whatever you want, but Jughead is the game master, and he's kind of like, slow your roll, guys. You're gonna listen to me, and when we're ready to take it to the next level, we will. Jughead then confronts FP about Alice's story, and Jughead thinks that this game has been being played even longer than when their parents were teenagers, and whoever planned this Ascension party must be kind of responsible, but the game, like I said, goes much longer and deeper than what they thought. So this, of course, drives Jughead into wanting to dive deeper and deeper into this game to catch whoever is behind this, so he starts drafting up a new quest. Now, when Veronica asks the group to help break Archie out of jail, Betty goes to ask Jughead for help, but he is too caught up in this game, but the mention of breaking Archie out from Juvie gives Jughead the missing piece for his quest. Now, back over at Juvie, the warden treats Archie to this lavish meal, and Archie realizes he's on borrowed time, and this is going to be his final fight because he's about to be replaced. So he takes advantage of the time. He gets the warden to confess to what Hiram did in order to frame Archie, and thus kind of begins our two quests, which are actually kind of like one quest if you think about it, because in the bunker, Jughead's reading this quest to the group, and every little situation and thing to save this red paladin matches up perfectly with what's going on with Archie's escape. But let's just say this escape doesn't go off without a hitch. It keeps you on your toes. So first, Joaquin turns on Archie. Yeah, first Joaquin kisses Archie though, which is weird, but I feel like it's kind of Joaquin's weird way of saying, sorry, you know I like you, Archie, I got your back, but you know I had no choice in doing this in the next part, which is him stabbing Archie, so Archie doesn't really stand a chance in the fight. Archie then ends up fighting none other than Mad Dog, who was like risen from the dead. Not really, because he wasn't dead, but he has come out of the shadows and returned, and all I gotta say is that this guy is ripped. Like, I know Archie has some recognizable abs, as we saw, you know, Veronica be like, I'll recognize those abs anywhere, but I think Mad Dog might have Archie's abs beat here. Now, as this fight is going on, Veronica's plan is set in motion as she and Reggie talk their way into the building, and they meet up with Josie, and they throw these smoke bombs to create a distraction, obviously a smoke screen, but that almost didn't even happen because Hiram saw Veronica, caught her, but with a swift knee to the junk. Finally, Veronica doing something physical about her dad. This plan is pulled off. Archie escapes out to the drain pipe just as Betty unlocks it, and the chase is on. Now, I should also mention here, all of you who longed for Kevin and Joaquin to reunite, well, we got it this episode, but not in the way I know you guys wished it had happened.
It's too late for Archie.
Where are you going? Back to the Serpents?
No. I joined a different gang.
Who?
You don't want to know, Kevin.
So Betty has pulled some wires from the warden's car so he can't participate in the chase, and he sends all his men after them. But we see Betty and Archie racing from the police on the motorcycle in a very cool chase scene until they end up surrounded by police. And it's like, what do? They're pretty much caught, right? Well, but good old bait and switch was actually pulled off.
What can we do for you, fellas? Bravo. Your deception gambit has paid off.
Now, back in the bunker where the group are hanging on Jughead's every word of this quest as they wait to see if, you know, the people have outsmarted the cavalry, they find out they have, and that gives us, you know, a little shony kiss. The rest of the group want to know if they've saved this red paladin, but Jughead, he doesn't know the answer, which is weird because didn't he write this quest? He's like, I had to make a last minute change, and he never really wrote an ending to his quest, so they're all just like, did the red paladin survive? And we're waiting to see, like, okay, does Archie survive? And it turns out Archie falls down the entrance of the bunker, and the red paladin is alive. So the group patch up Archie, and then they kind of make this pact just like we saw their parents do, where they said they wouldn't talk about this game. this group makes a pact to take it to the grave, to not talk about the escape, that they will not, say they know where Archie's whereabouts are. You get the point, right? They also notice the brand the warden gave Archie. Now, of course, most of them don't know what this thing means, but Jughead and Betty do, and when they take the first watch in watching Archie, Jughead says, it's the symbol from the game, and Betty mentions the warden calling Archie the Red Paladin. So now this whole thing about a lot of other people playing this game and the stakes being higher is really starting to become believable to all of them. So Jughead thinks that the warden's definitely been playing this game, and maybe he is even the Gargoyle King. But all this talk is just stressing Betty out. She knows Jughead hasn't slept. She tells him to just go home and get rest. And as he heads home, he runs into the Gargoyle King in the woods. And of course, that's where we actually see the episode end, but I still have a little bit more to talk about what happened at the end of this episode. We also have Josie, Kevin, and Reggie wanting to know what Betty and their parents aren't telling them, so they're actually planning on starting a game of Gryphons and Gargoyles. And Hermione is majorly pissed because she now has to clean up Hiram and Veronica's mess with this whole Archie situation. And she even tells them both that their obsession with Archie is going to destroy them. Hermione then heads out to see the warden, but she's not going to be getting any answers from him because, well, he's got blue lips. In the sense of he's dead and he died with blue lips, because we find out he was playing the game and his quest card said to kill the Red Paladin, but it seems kind of like he failed, so he puts a little cyanide in his chalice, drinks up, and it's like, bye-bye, warden, we will not miss you, dude. And well, that pretty much wraps up this week's episode of Riverdale. It's just really weird and freaky how this game seems to be controlling all of their lives. It's kind of like, are we in Cabin in the Woods or Truman Show? Who is the puppet master in this whole thing? Because it is just trippy how Jughead's quest matched perfectly with what was going on with Archie and the Red Paladin, and everybody seems to be after Archie now. I feel like he's now the key or the target. Jughead mentions how Archie's trials are just beginning, so yeah, it seems like whatever these quests all these people are now doing in real life is gonna turn into madness and dangerous. I mean, in the promo for the next episode, Joaquin says that symbol on Archie stands for sacrifice. Yeah, it just does not give me a good feeling.
I saw him. There were others. They look like his disciples.
I don't think I can go back to Riverdale.
How far do you think you're gonna get?
Someone's sending us a message.
This symbol? What does it mean? Sacrifice.
We're too late.
Don't you make me say goodbye to you, Archie Andrews. All of the secrets end now.
Alright, yeah, now I think things are starting to kind of find their groove with this game's storyline, although we kind of seem to have thrown the farm to the side and have kind of forgotten about it, but somehow these gotta be connected, right? So when's the farm gonna come back into play? They gotta balance these a little bit better, but things are starting to kind of hit that, okay, I'm invested, what the hell's going on? Now, as far as my favorite moments in this episode, like I mentioned at the beginning, I gotta give it to Betty being a badass serpent queen on a motorcycle. Kevin, he actually looks pretty damn good in that serpent jacket too, so I guess we kind of got a glimpse of what would have happened if he and Joaquin had ever ended up together. Plus, Veronica finally giving Hiram that hit to his manhood. I wish she had just knocked him out as well, but a swift knee to the nuts is a pretty good fuck you to Hiram, I think. And anytime, as ridiculous as it is, if you think about it, that we get to see Cheryl show off her archery skills, it kind of makes me smile. And there was that tinge of Shoney for all you Shoney shippers out there. I know the show hasn't really been given them much to do, which I wish they will. I mean, there's still, it's what, a 20 episode season probably, so there's still time for them to get a juicy storyline, hopefully. But right now, I feel like they're just kind of not doing much with them and Kevin, and I want more with them. So I just think it's going to be fun to see kind of all this stuff play out. Hopefully they don't turn it into a mess. We will see. This game, though, if it's been going on forever, who actually is the Gargoyle King? I think things now kind of seem like Hiram, but maybe Hiram has been playing this game forever. That's why he's so obsessed with Archie. I think he's got maybe a Red Paladin card somewhere hiding in his coat pocket too. I don't know. I don't know, there's lots of theories I feel like we could come up with. So you guys hit me up down in the comments below with your theories. Who's this Gargoyle King? We still have the farm. Still have Edgar and Evernever. These gotta be connected somehow. Is it Edgar? Is that too obvious? Is it one of the parents? How is this really gonna play out? Do you think Jughead, what's he gonna say to that Gargoyle King? They stopped that right at the perfect time to be like, great guys, now I gotta watch and wait and wonder if Jughead actually is like at the ascension level. I hope not, because we don't want to see Jughead die, right? Anyway, I'm rambling now. I don't even know what I'm saying, so just hit up the comments. Let me know your favorite parts of this episode, your theories for what's going to happen next. And after that, you can click right over here for one of my latest recaps of This Is Us. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my Riverdale stuff. Alright guys, I'm Lisa. I'm going to head out for now. See you next time.